Well, good morning. It is Tuesday morning, December the 17th, I think. Indeed, it is the 17th. It's earlier than I normally post. Just had a quiet moment, and I thought I'd go ahead and do that now. As long as we don't get interrupted by a robocall, we'll be okay. So let's get started. It is journal number, our survey said, 251 T plus 259. And I'd like to talk to you about communication. Because I think it's critical and because I just experienced excellent communication skills and client/patient relationship skills at the City of Hope. And I think it's worthy of mentioning because interpersonal relationships and interactions are a fact of life for all of us. So let's talk about that for a moment, and really what it all is about. When if you go back to that famous, I think it was in HUD scene where Paul Newman is accused of being responsible for a failure to communicate, and I think that's part of the issue. So you start out by saying what's critical about communication in a professional or interpersonal relationship, but especially when you're talking about communication with your care team, with your doctor, with your nurse, with anybody that's involved in making sure that you're healthy and well. And it starts with transparency, and that just implies instantly a different level of honesty. So you have to be sure to be willing to communicate anything and everything that you're experiencing to your care team, whether you think it's important or not. What I've learned over the last 6 years is that I'm not always the best judge of what's important and what's not. And sometimes in the course of a conversation, I'll reveal something and it turns out to be the one isolated piece of information that really makes a difference. So transparency is critical. Openness, honesty are critical. A willingness to open up and share. And all of those things are important because, and it's important that it happens on the other side as well, by the way. This is just not a one-sided issue where you're doing all of the communicating and you're responsible for the honesty and the openness and the transparency. It has to be reciprocated on the other side. And some healthcare professionals have a problem with that. What I've experienced actually is that nurses are far better and more open when it comes to communicating than some doctors are. And I think that just has to do with a culture shift that hasn't caught up with everybody yet. So you have to give them some slack when it comes to that. So I just think that's really important, and it's important. It's important when it comes to managing expectations, because if you don't have that open, clear, honest, transparent relationship, it's really hard to manage expectations because you don't have all the information that you need, and the failure to manage expectations is what's responsible for not meeting or exceeding the wants and needs of whoever it is you're dealing with or whoever it is that's dealing with you. So those things are critical. And I think it's important that we get over the normal aversion to challenging anyone we're involved with in that kind of a relationship when they fail to meet up to what we feel are reasonable expectations for communication, for sharing information, for being open and for being honest. You may not always want to hear what they have to say. Quite often I don't want to hear what they have to say. I would rather have them walk in the room and say, "You're cured, bingo. It's magic. Wave a magic wand and go back to your life. Everything is great." But that's not the way life works. I mean, there are responsibilities that they have. There are responsibilities that you have. They're shared. It's what's necessary to get you well again. So the ability to go ahead and lay all of that out there so that there are no unanswered questions, or perhaps more important, no questions that go unasked when it comes to getting your car fixed, when it comes to your medical care team, when it comes to communicating with your children, when it comes to communicating with your parents. And if you've got older parents, then they were raised in a different generation, and trying to pry information out of them, I know in the experience that I had with my dad and my mom, was pretty near impossible. You just didn't talk about stuff like that. So I think all of those things are worthy of communicating openly and honestly. I think they're worthy of a second thought and consideration as you move through the day. And if you find yourself hesitating, try and work your way through it. Try and, get over the fear and blast your way through it. I'm going to go ahead and write a column for Ratchet about that and see what turns up. That's how important I think it is in a relationship that exists between a motorist who is a potential customer, who is a potential client, who is a potential loyal and lifetime client. So in the meantime, stay well, take care. Look forward to talking to you tomorrow. This is me. And that's it for now.